We have just started with this fascinating project for the Climate and Development Knowledge Network. It's a project where we look at green growth options in 3 countries, Colombia, Kenya and Indonesia. And we're interested in looking at how options for green growth, specifically in the energy sector, are related to political factors and political motives that influence whether these green growth options are implemented or not.
The world is not the same. Not every country is the same. There are rich countries that have a very large industry, and there are developing countries which are still at the beginning of these economic growth paths. So how do we do that? One of the things we try to do is, of course, to help other countries in trying to identify the best ways of combining economic growth, which they need, but not at the same time ruining the planet while doing so. That is not so easy. There's a difficult word for that, it's called lock-in. What we don't want is that developing countries will make the same mistakes as we did in the past.
Al tiempo que refinamos los análisis técnicos, estamos, como decía hace un rato, revisando la viabilidad del cumplimiento de esas reducciones en los sectores. Si bien la meta va a ser nacional, pues estas reducciones se tienen que realizar en los diferentes sectores de la economía, y entonces el trabajo con los ministerios al nivel, digamos, político-técnico, o sea, subiendo más en la escala hacia lo político, tiene que avanzar rápidamente, porque en esta economía como la colombiana, muchas de las estrategias de reducción de emisiones van a ser realizadas por privados, van a ser realizadas por firmas, van a ser realizadas por organizaciones individuales que tienen que ser convocadas por los ministerios y desde la misma presidencia, esperamos, para garantizar que la reducción que proponga Colombia se cumpla.
I think it's going to be very exciting and very challenging to try and convince these 3 countries that are the subject of this project, Colombia, Kenya and Indonesia, to try and think differently and innovatively about how they are going to grow in the future and how that growth can become more green. It's specifically challenging for example, Kenya, because it has just recently discovered fossil fuels, oil, gas, and it might hope to actually develop these resources and become very rich very fast. On the other hand, perhaps that's not such a good idea if you take climate change into account. So this requires us to start thinking about what are the challenges that these countries face in trying to figure out whether they should invest in fossil fuels or whether they should try and see whether it makes more sense in the long term to invest in renewable energies.
Kenya at the moment is at crossroads, and this is a very good time to address energy security, because Kenya has just developed a national climate change action plan. We have a new vision 2030, which gives us the development pathway or strategy towards the year 2030. And with that, we have a new constitution and a revised energy policy. So all this coming at a time when we are thinking about energy security and green growth is really timely.
On the whole, countries are not against action on climate change. Countries understand that climate change is a major issue that needs to be addressed at a global level. But what they do struggle with is the economics of climate change. What they struggle with is how can they, on the one hand, contribute to a global solution on climate change, while at the same time achieving their primary objective, which is economic growth and poverty eradication, certainly for many developing countries.
Green growth, maybe not everyone is really familiar with the idea, is basically to reconcile economic and social development with preserving the natural environment, the ecosystems, and making sure the resources, the natural resources, are there also for future generations. So it's trying to break away from what is often seen as something that doesn't go together. Many people still believe it's either the economy or the environment, and I think the green growth notion, the concept says no, that's not true, it can be reconciled.
Evidence will in fact be used to change policy does not have a bright, fantastic, successful record. Actual policy change depends on many other factors, as we know. It depends on personalities, it depends on there being an opportunity where a research result will come just at the right time. And that can happen because of a crisis, because of a change of a political party in power, or other reasons. And it will also depend on just being patient and waiting for that opportunity to arise to make the research results available to the right people at the right moment.
We hope that we will be able to identify, let's say, those enabling factors and constraints which influence whether green growth options are actually can be made a reality, because we know that green growth options often, especially in the long term, are economically really attractive. The question is really how can we make them politically attractive, and how can we identify factors within countries and discourses in countries that can make them happen and become a reality.